Hello, this is the Circle of Life video reflection by Ava Thomas. Today I will reflect on the Lion King's depiction of the circle of life as it relates to the idea of Freud's psychoanalytical theory and Carl Jung's collective unconsciousness. For those who are unfamiliar with the classic tale depicted in Disney's 1994 cartoon film, we will start with a brief summary. The Lion King begins with a perfect sunrise where all the animals gather to witness an African religious ceremony which anoints the next newly born king of the jungle, Simba. We then skip to a young lion as a cub who is eager to take his proud father Mufasa's place as the king. However, this makes Simba's villainous uncle Scar jealous of him. When Mufasa is suddenly murdered by his brother, Simba is manipulated by his uncle to feel responsibility for his father's deaths, and runs away from home. Simba then meets up with two outcast meerkat and the warthog, Timon and Pumbaa, and embraces their culture of Hakuna Matata or worry-free life. Years later, he is found by his childhood friend Nala and the wise baboon Rafiki. Simba must return home to stop his trickster uncle Scar evil reign and fulfill his destiny as the new king. As you can see, The Lion King is similar to Carl Jung's hero's journey, from the known to the unknown. The hero Simba confronts his unconscious and emerges from it stronger and more developed. Freud's psychoanalytical perspective believes childhood experiences shape your personality. In Simba's childhood, he is raised in a loving home, supported by guiding parents. But during critical times in his development, his masculinity and sense of morality are in conflict. Although Kazu, the bird who is symbolic of his superego, is assigned to watch over him, his attempt to serve as his internal voice of parental and social restrictions are difficult, as Simba's social persona and self-concept caused by his biological status as a future king create what Jung calls an ego inflation. Ego inflation is the over-evaluation of ego consciousness without recognizing the limited role or limitations of dangerous situations. I truly attribute Simba's conduct problems to his authoritative father Mufasa, as he takes him to the top of the triangular collective conscious symbol of Pride Rock. He expresses to Simba's his ownership of everything that the light touches to teach him responsibility, but I also believe this fosters privileged behaviors. Simba is stuck in the phallic stage of his development. He successfully suppresses his ID, or what Jung would call the shadow, by not seeking his father's death for riches. Simply a healthy resolution by wanting to become more like his father versus the complex of increasing love for his mother and rivalry with his father. This unconscious behavior is reserved for his archetype character, the Uncle Scar, who did not reject his impulse because of social rules, but acted on his ego instinct to murder his brother. Scar was a very bad guy. As you can see, he developed through various stages of his life, but the biggest stage was the traumatic experience of witnessing his father's death, which influenced his unconscious rejection of everything associated with his past life. His convergent hysteria during his departure from home almost kills him in the wilderness, as he refuses to eat and behave as a carnivore by befriending a possible meal of meerkat and warthog for years to embrace a omnivore's diet. These irrational thoughts and actions, symbolized by psychological distress, are examples of Freud's psychoanalysis that produces maladaptive behavior. Psychologist Erickson, unlike Freud, called these teenage phases the identity versus role confusion, which is attributed to his anemia. Through repression, he avoids the anxiety and guilt by seeking a life of pleasure to escape pain and grief by repressing his masculine impulse. Luckily, through the paranormal phenomenon of synchronicity described by Jung, Simba encounters his betrothed Nala during his teenage years, which ushers his unconscious to the conscious. By falling in love, Simba and Nala become psychologically whole and develop the four psychological factors needed for healthy outcomes: thinking, feeling, and sensation, and intuition. This masculine and feminine roles are free from repression. Simba Simba then goes deeper into his unconscious and draws from his collective unconscious through the sometimes dangerous hallucinations of the symbolic ego represented here by Rafiki. It is his father's old advisor who is helping him through his internal conflict of remembering who he is and facing his past. As Mufasa spiritually appears to Simba, this helps him to follow his collective understanding of his role as king and ruler. Simba's hero's journey shaped the evolution for all lions. Simba's unique experience with his personal unconscious symbolized throughout the story, attributed to what Young calls the collective unconsciousness. His brave return to face confrontation provided knowledge of Scar's betrayal, which freed him from his past behavior of escapism and repression. Simba's hero's journey into unconsciousness not only healed him, but the collective through unconsciousness of all animals in the circle of life.